All right, welcome back. Today we've got a really strange one for you. A story about digital sabotage, where a group of regular citizens, totally fired up by a wild conspiracy theory, literally declared war on a map.
I know, it sounds completely absurd, right? But this really happened over in South Korea. And it begs the question, what could possibly convince a group of people that they had to delete public power plants from a map that's, open and collaborative for everyone?
Okay, so let's get into it. The whole thing kicked off when this popular global map suddenly found itself under a really persistent and, coordinated attack.
And let's be really clear here, this wasn't just, a couple of bored kids causing trouble. We're talking about a full week where a dedicated group launched this systematic campaign to just vandalize the map, trying to wipe key locations right off of it.
The attack was so organized, in fact, that the volunteer moderators, the folks who keep this map running, they found themselves in this constant, exhausting battle. They had no choice but to ban over 50 brand new accounts, all created for one single purpose: this digital raid.
And believe me, those 50-plus accounts made a ton of noise. The moderators had to go back and fix hundreds of unauthorized changes. It just became this relentless, exhausting game of digital cat and mouse.
So you gotta wonder, right? Who is behind all this? Was it some state-sponsored hacking group? Maybe a rival tech company? Well, the answer is way more surprising than that.
See, the people behind this weren't these sophisticated hackers hiding in some dark room. Nope. They were a group of ordinary citizens totally out in the open who genuinely believed they were on a mission to save their country.
And pretty quickly, a really clear profile of this group started to emerge. Like I said, not hackers for hire. These were politically motivated citizens coming from ultra-conservative circles, and they were organizing everything online. In their own minds, they were the good guys, patriots on a mission to save their country from what they saw as this huge foreign threat.
And their whole motivation, the entire reason they were doing this, was built on a pretty powerful conspiracy theory. They were absolutely convinced that this open-source map, this thing that people build together, was actually a sinister tool created by their enemies.
And their fear was super specific, tied directly to what's happening in the world. They'd seen reports about Russia allegedly using maps to plan attacks in Ukraine, and they just put two and two together and thought, oh no, North Korea's definitely going to use this map to bomb the South. For them, this wasn't just some abstract idea, it was a real and present danger, a total call to action.
But a fire like this doesn't just start on its own. This whole digital raid, it was sparked and then fueled by a whole series of false news reports that basically told them, yep, your fears are totally valid.
You can actually trace the whole thing back. It started about a month before the attack, with this bogus news story that claims secret military bases had been leaked on the map. Then, shortly after that, a totally unrelated glitch on some other local map service got wrongly blamed on this global platform. So you have these two false stories that created this perfect storm of misinformation. And for this group, that was all the proof they needed.
Okay, but here's where the story goes from strange to just truly bizarre. Because for all of their passion, for all of their conviction, the group completely missed their target.
This is really the moment the whole campaign just falls apart. Remember, they were terrified about secret military bases being exposed. But what were they actually deleting from the map? Public power plants, information that's already out there. So they weren't protecting national secrets. They were basically attacking public infrastructure, digitally speaking.
I mean, the irony here is just almost unbelievable. In this grand patriotic quest to protect secret bases, they ended up trying to delete the nation's public power grid from a map. You can't make this stuff up.
And maybe the most telling part of this whole story is just how pointless it all was. Think about the workflow here. A vandal spends time making an account, finds something to delete, and gets rid of it. Then a volunteer moderator just spots the change and restores everything with a single click. All that passion, all that effort, for nothing. Their whole campaign was completely futile.
So after all that, what's the takeaway? What does this weird little episode of digital chaos really tell us about the world we're living in right now?
Well, this story leaves us with a few really powerful lessons. For one, it's a huge reminder that misinformation isn't just noise on the internet. It can actually get real people to take real action. It also shows just how vulnerable these open, collaborative projects can be. And maybe most importantly, it proves that even the most passionate belief, when it's pointed in the completely wrong direction, can lead to a whole lot of effort for, basically zero impact.
Because at the end of the day, the facts didn't really matter here.
What mattered was that the story they believed in was compelling. It tapped right into fears they already had, it gave them a clear enemy and a simple mission. It didn't matter that it had absolutely no connection to reality.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of troubling thought. In this case, right, the damage was minimal. It was easy to fix. But this whole thing serves as a perfect, almost textbook case study for a really dangerous formula. And it makes you wonder, the next time a compelling false story like this goes viral, will the consequences be so easy to undo?